What's up, everybody? My name is Paulo Rubio, aka GN. Welcome to another episode of the Fight Focused podcast, where we try to help you fight better or be a better martial artist. All that good stuff. Today we got a special treat. Back on the show is Coach Rage Ng. He is a professional MMA boxing and strength and conditioning coach from the Legendary Blackhouse Camp. He is the leader of the EYR, the IR division, the Engage Your Rage division. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Coach Rage Ng. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
All right, so you called me up today and you're like, hey, I want to talk about some stuff. And usually when you do that, something's brewing in your brains there, and it usually has something to do with how to help people become better fighters, become better martial artists, so that people are dying. What's on your mind? What have you got for us today, sir?
Yes. First, I have to say, nice shirt you got on.
Repping the Bulletproof Troop. That's right. That's right. He's one of your fighters. For those who don't know, he's a bad man. Blake Troop is a bad man. I love this guy.
Yes.
Look him up. Look up Blake Troop. But
Bulletproof Troop.
The Bulletproof. Right. So, should we start with like a quick intro about what makes you awesome? I think I did a pretty good job. You're a professional MMA coach. You're a professional strength and conditioning coach. You are a professional boxing coach.
Yes. And
right?
I'm also licensed in professional kickboxing in CSAC or California. But dare I say, there's really not any such thing as professional kickboxing. It's such a underpaid sport. It's more a labor of love than actually professional, which is so wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So,
like, what's like a top prize that we might ever get to see in just a professional kickboxing match these days? Like, what's good?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, when you fight in the UFC, you get, close to $1 million, sometimes more, depending on, like what's the prize? Is there prize fighting? No.
Yeah, but the paydays are, really for professional kickboxing, you got glory. Period. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
I guess the same thing can be said about wrestlers too, right? Like, there's no professional wrestling circuit past the college level. That's a travesty.
It is. It is. And that's also why there is such a predominance of wrestlers in MMA.
Yeah, that's where they go.
That's where they go. But the best wrestlers actually rarely ever make it in MMA. The best wrestlers are good at wrestling, and they're not so much good at getting punched in the face and face punching and that kind of stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I hate to make this correlation, but same thing for cheerleading. I was watching a cheerleading documentary on Netflix, and it's like beyond high school, some college. These are athletes who dedicate themselves to a craft that they know has a finality. Like, there's no graduating from.
Yeah. How about gymnastics?
Right. It's weird, isn't it? How like we value certain athletic endeavors so disproportionately more than others, right?
Yeah.
Like it's weird.
It's like, wait, if you're not playing with a ball, then we don't pay you.
It's weird. But it's weird. I don't think that'll ever change, though. I don't see, pole vaulting glory. I don't see a triple jumper becoming a millionaire. I just don't. It's.
I was a decathlete in high school and ranked in the state in pole vault. So.
Really, I didn't know you did pole vault.
Yeah, well, it's part of the decathlon.
That's
one of the
dope. That's wicked, man. All right,
and I was 165 pounds.
What do you weigh in now?
Right now I'm 210.
Okay.
210. When I fought, I was 194-ish. 194 was my best weight. Back when I fought, if there were weight classes, there were two. So I was between 194 and 205, somewhere around there.
And you did that bare knuckle thing, didn't you?
Yeah.
Are you quite happy that it's making a bit of a resurgence these days? I actually thought it was going to be bigger than it is. I mean, I'm not really seeing
the
a whole
bare
lot of
knuckle
promo.
boxing, that's not what I did. I did bare knuckle MMA. And back when I did it, it wasn't MMA, it was NHB, no holds barred. Yeah. And sometimes it would be Valley Judo. It was a mess. It was a mess, but
yeah,
learn from my mistakes. That's my motto today, especially for my young fighters. Learn from my mistakes.
Exactly. Well, that's good, man, because I mean, you're a professional, but you didn't earn it by way of just getting a formal education and this and that. Like, you have experience to back that up, so you got the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what's up today?
Hey, man. Thank you for introducing me to Todd Fossey. Let me get that out there, man. So I was on his podcast. I think it was Sunday night. And man, I really think people should watch that, but you got these two science nerd brains just smacking up against each other the whole time, and it's an acquired taste. Let's put it that way.
It is, man, I wish you guys did like kung fu spin kicks with flaming shoes. Then I'd get a whole lot more views, but instead you guys are all neuroscience and all this crap. But Todd Fossey, real quick.
We'll work on the flaming shoe thing. I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. God, I'm so tired of these. All this information that actually has value. Let's do flaming spin kicks. But for those of you guys who don't know, Todd Fossey comes from neuropsychology, blue. He did a whole bunch of lectures at med schools, and then now he's a firearms self-defense instructor. Right?
Yeah. And the bluey. Wow. Like, okay. It's interesting. Like, if you're tall, you can say that you're tall. Right? And if you're strong, you can say you're strong. If you're big, you can say you're big. But you can't say that you're good looking, and you can't say that you're smart.
Bro, it's like you characterized my issues entirely. I know you feel my pain.
Which explains why you live in Toronto. See, I'm too dumb for New York and too ugly for LA. The point that I was starting to say is that it's rare for me to interact with somebody who makes me go, excuse me, could you define that word you just used? Could you back up 2 seconds and what exactly is a neuropeptide? I think I understand what a peptide is, but a neuropeptide, so that was kind of half the conversation was Todd dropping science bombs and me going,
He's smart, man. He's a smart dude. And so awesome. Are you. And so are you. The thing is, like, it seems like, I mean, what am I doing, man? Like, I'm operating on like YouTube and Facebook, and I'm here trying to introduce people to super smart guys who have interesting things to say and things to contribute. Yeah. Whereas really we should just be like, I hate you, no, I hate you, and your martial art sucks. And then we'll get the millions of views.
It's like the meme that's going around now. The old man on his deathbed. Oh, I wish I argued more online.
That's right. Oh, man.
So Todd asked me a question, and I do this with you all the time too. Somebody asked me a question, and then I answer the gist of the question in the direction that I think they're going. So I don't actually answer the question. I kind of jump ahead 3 steps and then answer that question, and then that goes on to something. And I apologize to your audience for that because it can be quite annoying. It's just the way my brain works. So Todd asked me a question, and I didn't answer his question directly. But what I put out.
What was the question? The
question was, I'm gonna quote it the best I can.
Okay.
Something to the effect of, why do the industries of combat sport and self-defense, and he probably included combatives and firearms, and why do these industries why are they so resistant to science and empiricism? Something to that effect.
Okay.
And I think what I said was something to the effect of, well, if you're not running, then you're not fighting. And then we went from there. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about. They put the industries, they put out these expressions and they act as though they are scripture or axioms, or they put, if you're not running, you're not fighting. And then no further explanation. So
Right.
obviously if you're going to fight, you have to run. Right. And then if you're someone like me and you say, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Why do you have to run? Then you get an answer like, well, for endurance or for cardio. Okay. So let's define our terms, right? No, first of all, no, that's bullshit. If you're not running, you're not fighting. Running is the opposite of fighting.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah. And I'm man, God, I got to be so annoying to listen to. I'm actually going to do a little bit of housekeeping and go backtrack to a podcast you and I did maybe a while, but I think it was the podcast, Is Strength a Skill?
Right.
And it
Yeah.
had, Hulk, and we were talking about athletic transfer. And for the 3 people that listen to that podcast and are listening to this and actually give a fuck,
Thank you, 3 people. Thank you,
thank
3
you,
people.
all 3 of you. I'm Scott Walker, Belton, and Carlos.
more brain oriented fighters, Let's just get to the spinning kung fu kicks, man.
Right,
But anyway,
right, with the flaming shoes. It's actually not fair because in the Aperture Fight Focus forum, there are at least a dozen well-educated
yeah, that's
strength
true.
and conditioning coaches that, if they're watching this, they are interested in what I'm trying to say. So we were talking about athletic transfer.
Athletic transfer.
And in a nutshell, it's basically, it's the exercise that you're doing. How does it transfer to the thing you want to be doing, the skill that you want? So does lifting weights have a positive effect on face punching? Now, the way I was using transfer and the way the industry uses transfer is incorrect. We speak of it digitally. It either transfers or it doesn't. It either is or isn't, and it's a gradient. So something can have positive transfer, it can have negative transfer, and it can also have neutral transfer. So if positive, negative, and 0 are all valid expressions, then it's almost useless for delineation, right? So everything transfers. But colloquially, the industry uses transfer generally to mean positive. So does it transfer? And if you say no, then it means it's either neutral or negative. Did that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have a problem with that? With this tendency? Because I have a problem with it. I have a problem with people saying Wing Chun doesn't work, with Aikido doesn't work, with Tai Chi doesn't work, because they look at Tai Chi and they make the assumption that has no direct positive transfer to one's ability to fight, therefore it's negative. It's like this binary black and white, and the
Yeah.
conversation ends there with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I do have a problem with it. I do, because it's a lot of these things are unquantifiable, very hard to measure, and even if you had control of all the variables, there would still be too many to make a conclusive yes, this martial art work, yes, or no, this martial art does not work.
Exactly. And you're going right into the second part of this, multiple variables. So you can have positive transfer in one variable, negative transfer in another variable, and neutral transfer in myriad variables.
Right. See, that's really hard to discuss, right? Because we look at something like a Wing Chun or an Aikido, and it may have a negative transfer to your ability to punch somebody in the face, but it may have a positive transfer for your ability to facilitate an opening to punch somebody in the face. Am I getting it?
Right on.
Is that it?
Right on.
Is that it?
Yeah. Now, usually when we talk about athletic transfer, it's a little bit more specific.
Right.
This exercise, that skill, but it doesn't have to be. So the way you were using it is actually spot on. So I just felt I needed to address that because it was left unsaid. Because that podcast, I just blah 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 for like 90 minutes. You know. Hey, if you're still with me, hey.
we pick apart the gems, my brother. We pick apart the gems.
So I felt that was important to get back to, but I forgot what I was actually talking about before I.
running and how running is the opposite of fighting, but it has a positive, are we actually talking about going outside and like running?
Right. So I didn't even get there because I was bitching about the
Kenji's like, keep going. He's see, I told you there's more than 3 people who get what we're talking about. There we go. Also, is strength a skill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I hate running. I hate running, man. I hate running. I hate going outside and running.
Okay. Why?
I hate it. Well, why do I hate it?
Yeah.
First of all, if I'm going to be out there covering space, I'd rather be biking. I just think it's boring, man. I just think running is boring. And I get like people love running, like they've got this runner's high, but I'm never going to be that person. So I kind of look for alternatives to running, you know?
And so I'm here to tell you, yes, get those alternatives. Absolutely. The problem is with the statement that we are given, if you're not running, you're not fighting. That doesn't tell us anything. First of all, what's running?
Walking really fast. I don't
Is
know.
that, or is that speed walk?
I don't. What the heck is running?
What's running?
Are you going to define in scientific terms?
I'm just saying, running is not specific enough terminology. There's sprinting, there's middle distance, there's long distance. And the physiological adaptation or the effect of each of those is very, very, very different. And the risks and benefits of each of those the risks of each of those is different. So for our purposes, I'm going to refer to distance running, slow running, as LSD. Long, steady distance, not the drug, not acid.
Okay.
But, I mean, microdosing might be the way to make LSD tolerable. Double pun. So
I'm not going to comment about microdosing. That's a different podcast.
This isn't Joe Rogan.
It's a different podcast. But yeah. Okay.
So, go ahead.
No. Go ahead,
okay.
Please.
I'll go ahead. Okay. So so that's, first of all, what do you mean when you say running? If you're not running, you're not fighting. What do you mean? What's running? What are we talking about? Sprinting? Are we talking about middle distance? Are we talking about LSD? Are we talking about intervals? What kind of intervals? Are flat surface, hills? What are we talking about? And what's fighting?
Right.
Yeah.
Combat sports, fighting, like we were talking about earlier.
Well, right. And so I break down the 3 different styles of fighting, right?
Yeah.
So Guam, that's awesome.
I can't put these up without you acknowledging them. I was hoping to kind of just slide that in there, but we got a viewer from Guam. Just keep going, bro.
Hey.
We just keep getting sidetracked. You're like, what's that?
Hey.
All right, let's see if you can resist. No, you can resist. I can see your eyes looking at that thing.
No, that's the ADD brain. That's
okay. Well, I'm going to stop posting your
keep
comments.
Putting them up. It's fine.
Okay.
3 different styles of fighting, right?
3 different styles of fighting. I can put a chapter break right here for people who want to start at 21 minutes in. Talk to us about this.
We've got these are my names for it. We've got grinders, we got bell to bell, and we have Mars. Right? Mars is the god of war. Mars is martial arts, warlike arts. So bell to bell fighters, they're the ones that fight bell to bell, win on points, get the decision. Mm-hmm. That is a different demand on the fuel system than a Mars fighter. A Mars fighter, Robbie Lawler, Mike Tyson, Amanda Nunes, people that finish their fights in a violent and dramatic fashion, that's Mars. That's a very different demand on fuel systems. And then you've got grinders, which like the Diaz brothers, who have endurance for days and drowned their opponents and finished the fight. So the only difference really between a grinder and a bell-to-bell fighter is a bell-to-bell fighter wins on points, goes the distance most always, where a grinder takes you into deep waters and drowns you. Okay. Again, there are 3 fuel systems. And you know, when I reached out and I sent you a text and I said, hey, I want to talk about this stuff. And you said, hey, do you have slides or media? And I thought about it, but man, if the slides are repugnant to me, the audience is, Google fuel system training or anaerobic glycolysis or mitochondria, right? And see what kind of pictures and slides, and it's a mess, and it's going to give everyone flashbacks to 10th grade science training or science class, and people's eyes are going to gloss over. So here are the technical terms for the 3 fuel systems: ATP-CP, which is your fast, explosive, immediate, on-site fuel system. You got anaerobic glycolysis, aka the lactic system, and then you have the aerobic system. And here's how you think about it: fast, medium, slow. You got the fast fuel system, you got the medium fuel system, you got the slow fuel system, right? So the aerobic system is your slow fuel system that LSD goes on, it just goes on forever, just isn't very fast or explosive or powerful. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the ATP-CP, your fast, explosive, which only lasts for about 8 seconds, right? And then somewhere in between those two is anaerobic glycolysis. With the fast fuel system, we run out of supplies. With the intermediate, the waste products start impeding performance. And so each of these fuel systems relate to each other, interrelate to each other. They're interdependent, and they are always working. So it's a propensity of one or the other. It's not like this one shuts off and that one's on. So there is a theme of intensities, speed, power, duration that correlates sprinting and Mars fighting, LSD and bell-to-bell fighting. Right? Is this making sense?
Yeah, I'm just letting you continue. I have some questions in my head, but keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You're on a roll, man. This is making sense.
What I'm talking about, right? I'm picking apart that pseudo axiom of if you're not running, you're not fighting.
Right. We got somewhere. I love it. This is no, that makes sense. So let me ask you a question about rates of replenishment within the context of a fight.
Okay,
because that's what I want. Because these things, as you said, are interdependent.
Yes.
So what's the fancy word for the Mars kind of fuel?
ATP-CP.
That lasts about 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the replenishment rate of that? And what's the best way for my fighter to get more of that stored into his system ahead of the next round, or maybe 15 seconds later? Is it a breathing thing? Like, oh, you're smiling. Is that because I'm getting it?
That is the question. That is the question that every head coach, every striking coach, every grappling coach, and every strength and conditioning coach should ask, decide, talk amongst each other, and plan.
Right. A lot of information is going to come from the fighter and his or her experiences also, right?
And their genetic capacity.
Right.
Their current level of ability. Right?
Do men and women have generally different rates of replenishment? Okay. All right. Gotcha.
So what I said was that question that you just asked is what the team who program, all the coaches, should ask, which implies what? That no one fucking asks it.
Okay.
That they don't. Because if you're not running, you're not fighting. So just go out and run. Just do your 10 miles a day.
Oh, I get.
I
get what you mean. They're sort of plastering this broad solution that may not be optimized for the fighter that they're actually training. They're just saying, go run.
Just go run. Because, he gassed out that round.
Oh, my God.
Obviously, his cardio is off. Bitch, what's cardio? What is cardio? Can you define cardio for me? Yeah, cardio is cardio. Cardio means heart. So what the fuck do you mean when you're saying cardio?
Heart ability.
Yeah, well, that's
I get it.
And I honestly, now I'm not this kind of pretentious asshole that I'm being right now, right? This is what I wish I could say, right? But I don't. I would get shot if I got in somebody's face and made them feel as stupid as they are. Well, that's not nice to say either, but I would ask questions like, well, wait, what does that mean? What do you mean by cardio? And they go, cardio.
Right. Like he needs more cardio. What do you mean? What kind? And
this is where Todd on Sunday made an idiocracy reference. Brondo, it's got what plants crave, which was.
I got to watch that movie again.
Oh, man.
So Rage.
That documentary. It's a documentary.
Yes, sorry. It's that documentary. So what's the first step then, Rage? If we've got a coach here who has a professional fighter or who wants to become a professional coach or just wants to be more knowledgeable, what's the first step into being a better coach for somebody else. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Go. Ask me.
Well, look, I'm always going to turn this around into a world that I understand and has relevance to me,
Fine.
right? So I stick fight, I knife fight, right? And they are, 3 minutes, one round, all out, swinging sticks.
Really?
Yeah,
3 minutes, one
3 minutes, one round, and that's
Awesome.
it. And
That's
so I want to dominate.
awesome.
Yeah, I
That
want to
is
dominate that.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool way to fight. So, and I don't like running. And because of the nature of the weapon that we have, I'm able to create, safe distance very, very quickly, catch my breath.
That's
Right?
running, my friend.
I know, so I shouldn't be running. Well, I should be running.
Creating safe distance very, very quickly is running.
Right. I mean, that could be tactical
So
running.
a tactical retreat, yes, sir. So again, I think I spoke to you about, and this is me being the asshole that I am. Delineate evasive. What's evasive? What falls under the category of being evasive, and
Yeah.
then how far is too far to actually go into the field of
I
running.
know what you mean. I know.
Right?
I disengage because I've spent my Mars fuel and I need a moment.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I can work towards improving that because oftentimes when I've exhausted my supply, it's likely that they probably have too. And if I have more, then I can capitalize on that and get after them. Right. I know.
You must have been creeping on the ire division, baby.
You know what I'm saying? But does long distance running not generally facilitate that then?
Not only does it not facilitate that, very often it's going to harm that.
So
It's
if
going to have negative transfer.
no,
Yes.
if I have extended cardio that I've
Well, again,
built
cardio
up,
doesn't mean anything.
if I can run at a steady
So that's that.
pace,
We're talking about the aerobic base. Okay, that's the
Right.
term that you're saying. So long, steady distance
long steady distance,
for building aerobic base.
right? And you're
And-
saying having good levels of that may actually be detrimental to my performance in a 3 minute all explosive match, or may.
I am saying it will likely be deleterious. So having a great aerobic base is awesome.
Okay.
The training that must be done to build the aerobic base very often will have a detrimental effect on the other fuel systems and the neuromuscular systems needed for speed, power, and explosion. So it's too much. The dose makes the poison. So here's the rub. Here's the sticky wicket. For what you do, 3 minutes at a go. 3 minutes at speed, your aerobic capacity is 100% irrelevant. Predominantly, it's going to be ATP CP with a tiny bit of anaerobic glycolysis. Now, how much you recover or disengage between flurries, the flurries are all ATP CP, right? And if you think about what do you call them, strikes? Do you call them swings? What are they called? Strikes?
Strikes, yeah.
Okay. How many strikes can you do in 1 second?
Like 3.
1 second.
Yeah. I can hit 5 times in 1 second.
Can't you?
I mean, I haven't really tried, but I was just thinking. Yeah, I can probably get to. I know some people for
What-
sure can do.
Tell me. This is what, angle one,
Angle 1.
2,
angle
wrist
2.
break.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's 4 strikes. That's less than a second, right? I mean,
Okay.
I don't know shit about FMA. I'm talking out my ass. I'm just picking.
No,
But
no, it makes sense. There are some fighting styles that actually they work to develop like really high rates of strike frequency.
okay,
Yeah,
right?
and they get made fun
So,
of sometimes because they
oh,
when they fight they wear full armor that doesn't hurt. It's called weak half. Yeah, so it's like
I don't know.
there's no penalty for successfully executing 5 strikes in 1 second against your opponent. They're not going to feel anything. I don't do that. I mean, once in a while, just for fun. But anyway,
It seems fun to me. It seems more fun than getting hit with a stick.
I mean,
Fucking weirdo.
it's fun. It's fun. It's
I'm
fun.
sorry.
So, but look, here's what I'm getting. Here's what I'm getting.
Whoa.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm trying to illustrate. Okay, five strikes per second,
Mm-hmm.
and your ATP-CP system fatigues, depletes in what? 8
8
seconds.
seconds.
Okay, so how many strikes is that?
Like 40.
40,
Yeah.
right? Now, nobody flurries for 8 seconds straight. Nobody runs a 40-string combination,
Right.
but they should strive to,
They should strive to.
and they should train to,
Hey, man.
especially if it's only a 3-minute total,
Right.
right?
Man, this Rage, you know what you just did, bro? You kind of validated something that I've long believed, in that this whole weak half thing, this World Eskrima Kali Arnis Federation, like they literally wear what I call a red dress, padding everywhere, like literally padded everywhere, like a medieval knight, and it looks ridiculous. It looks silly because their strike frequency is so high. It's hard to identify where defenses are, but I've always maintained that their training methodology is where it's at, because they train for this. That's where the true value in weak half format fighting is in the training methodology. Unfortunately, the competition platform sucks.
What would happen if two dudes that trained that actually fought? Fuck the armor. Fuck you. Here's a stick.
Yeah, they
How
would
would
do.
that-
I mean, they would do, I think, extraordinarily well. The
Yeah.
thing is, what they're typically not accustomed to are the pain penalties associated with getting
Yeah.
hit back.
Yeah.
You know, so it may jar them. But I think, yeah, if a weak half fighter all of a sudden wanted to fight Pikiti Tursa style, I think they could potentially do well.
And
The
what if
thing
they
is, though,
what if they cross train?
if they cross trained, even better,
Right.
even better. Yeah. And so, wow. Okay. So which, I don't know if this is a silly question, right? But which martial art, right? And we can include boxing and Muay Thai and all of that, classically has training methodologies that lead to good bursts, sustained bursts of this ACDC.
ATP-CP. That's okay. It's alphabet soup. Traditionally, they
Yeah.
suck.
Okay.
Now that, because you brought it up, that's another thing that happens. So it's this intellectual laziness,
Yeah.
right? If you're
Totally.
not running, you're not fighting. And listen, that came from some degree of empirical evidence, that came from some experience, and it comes from some scientific accountability from 1937,
What?
right? That's how old that expression is.
Oh.
Right?
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like that's where the road work, you do your road work. And so another thing, in Thailand, I love this one. Well, in Thailand, they run 10 miles or kilometers or whatever the metric is every morning before they train. And then they train for 2 hours, and then they run again.
Sounds badass, but is there a but?
Because So you're saying that because that's what they do in Thailand, and by the way, every Muay Thai gym trains exactly the same throughout the entire fucking country, but because that's the way they do it, that makes it right.
I see what you're getting at. Right.
Right? And
Right.
we're not allowed to explore it through any other lens, regardless of education or data or research. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. This is how it's done, right?
Yeah.
And the industries have this inertia that is created. Part of it is it takes so long. You have your fight career, and then you start coaching. Usually, some not that's not the path for everyone, but you have a fight career, then you start coaching, and then you just teach the next generation what was taught to you, and you never really get into the science of it. It's just handed down hearsay, folklore, false axioms.
Yeah.
If you're not running, you're not fighting, so you got to run for cardio. If you gas out during sparring or fighting, you're not doing enough running. So, okay, there's better methods, but the industries in combat sport, the environment, it's not a safe environment for productivity and for learning. So if I'm a professional trainer, and boxing is really bad about this, I cannot give anyone the impression that there's anything about boxing that I don't know. As a boxing trainer, I have to know everything there is to know about boxing, and no one can tell me shit.
Otherwise, yeah, people lose confidence. People think that, okay,
It's the culture, right?
Yeah.
And the economics, right? And it's even worse in MMA because the economics is worse in MMA. So if I admit that I don't know everything, or that I could possibly learn more, or that I should study, and simply by asking someone that happens to be an expert in that area, then I could lose money because this person appears to be more confident and knowledgeable, and so
Right.
then this fighter goes with them, and that's 10 grand out my pocket.
Right. Rage, to some degree, do you think, okay, here's where I want to take this,
Yeah.
this hesitance, this institutional inertia that prevents individuals from within that institution to seek a difference of opinion or a 2nd opinion or another idea.
Right. Or even a healthy debate.
Or yes, tragic. But there's a reason for this, like there are people who are just purely scientifically minded, who went to the best school, but never had the experience, right? Doesn't really know what this fighter has to go through. They just read it from a textbook, and they got all these numbers and data and scientific mumbo jumbo. And so when those guys, when you lean to those guys too much, there's a detriment to that as well, right? Like
Absolutely. And to quote Dan Gable on this specific topic, maybe science needs some toughness.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe science needs some toughness.
Yeah.
This is
So-
a really interesting
So,
topic that we've landed on.
Yeah.
Go
So
on, sir.
the other end is exactly what you just pointed out. So kind of related, fighters, athletes, you got to be a fighter and you have to be an athlete. And me as a fighter and a coach, I cannot take an athlete and make them a fighter. Not possible. There are some fighters that I can take and make them athletes. To be an athlete, you have to be regimented and disciplined, and we have formulas and protocols and proxies and metrics, and we have the system of building an athlete, right? They just have to do the work, not get injured, and their athleticism and fitness increases. To become a fighter, well, we don't know what that formula is. But you're either a fighter or you're not, right? And that's clear, that's evident. So why am I talking about this, right? It's all cool and interesting, but it actually is a direct correlation to what we're talking about between coaches and scientists, or coaches and educators, right? Being a coach is one skill set. Being a researcher or a scientist or an educator, that's a whole nother skill set. And if you have too much of one, you're ineffective at the other.
Right.
And if you don't have, right? And so it's a necessary thing, but some fighters are resistant to becoming athletes, but most fighters want to become better athletes. Most coaches do not want to become better students. I believe if you're going to be a coach, you are also committing yourself to being a full-time student.
I agree with that. You know, for me, personally speaking, this whole idea of player, coach, student, teacher, I think it's the highest, if I can say, rank. It's got, for me, it carries so much prestige to the point where everybody that I meet wants to claim that they're that. They will always want to claim, oh yeah, I'm a forever student, but they're not really. There's something, for me, there's something prestigious about that. You know, like when somebody tells me they're a student teacher, or that, you know, oh, I'm a part-time teacher, full-time student. My question is, oh, when was the last time you took a class from somebody else? And you know, if there's a hesitance there, I don't believe them.
You know, that is so fascinating. I see where you're coming from. I get what you're saying, but in my experience, that's not. I don't run into that. I don't. So maybe that's more common in the art space or the self-defense space or the.
I'm talking about firearms, martial arts. Yeah, everybody wants to.
Right, but
what?
Like combat. Like boxing coaches don't say that shit. MMA coaches rarely, you know.
Yeah.
Wrestling coaches don't say that, you know.
I guess so.
Yeah. But and see, that's the thing. Like, it's one thing to be a student of your art, right? And that's probably what they're professing. And I'm saying that's not enough. It's not enough to study just the shit that's fun and that you love. No. Of course. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You play with your toys all day. Yeah, I get it. You love the art, and I'm forever a student of the art. Cool. What about all the science that tells you that you're training your art wrong? That's where you need. And what about all the shit you don't know? And you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, every coach, if you're a professional coach, you should be scientifically literate enough to read peer-reviewed, published scientific literature, especially in strength and conditioning.
Right. And especially these days when...
And nutrition.
I mean, that Cheetos. This information is readily available. You're kind of asking these coaches to take on what doctors do.
Yeah. Well, no. Doctors.
Well, look. Well, what I'm saying is that if
what doctors are supposed to do.
what doctors are supposed to do. Exactly. Like once you finish
reading the trade magazines is not the same thing as actually doing research.
Right. No, I get it.
Sorry. I'm an asshole.
You're not an asshole for disagreeing with me or poking holes in my logic. I need that stuff, man.
I'm talking shit about doctors is what I'm doing.
No, but Rage, no, it's making a whole lot of sense here. So, yeah, I have some takeaways here that there are different forms of running and different methods to approach building cardio that is specific to the context of the fight and the kind of fighter that you are. It isn't just go run, right? I think that's my biggest takeaway.
I always do this, right? I look up and I'm like, holy shit, I've talked this much and I haven't even said all the things I was thinking about. But what, in real simple terms, I'm not telling you or anyone else, I'm not telling you if you're going to fight, you got to run. I'm not telling you to run or not to run. This is the lens in which we are viewing a bigger topic. I'm saying, think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and learn about what what the effects are, what the risks and benefits are of specific protocols. Learn about the different fuel systems, how they correlate to specifically what you want, right? Running has a lot of benefits and only a few risks. So it's an attractive modality. My contention is that it's presented as the only modality and something you must do. And another thing, that my team, we have a specialist who is trained in the mechanics of running. And as I said before, I was a state champion in high school. I was a decathlete. I thought I could run. I can't run. My form is shit. Now, it's decades later, but that's the other problem with just saying just go run, is that if your form is shitty, you're going to have a lot of unintended consequences, dysfunction, possible injury, right? That's the right way to do things. So stop being intellectually lazy. That's my message. Stop because there's so many moving pieces. People want to just go, oh, well, that's all I need to know about that, and I don't want to think about it anymore. Man, if you're not on an omnipresent quest, if you're not always striving for mastery, you don't belong in this space.
Drop the mic. You did it, Rage. You did it, bro. You did it. You did it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a lot to digest, really. And it took us 53 minutes to get here with some side stories and diversions. But I think that is a great point that you're trying to make here, right? And I hope people, I might have to cut this down and just like break it down into the absolute core of what it is that you're trying to say. But you did a great job there towards the end. That's exactly what the internet's, people who don't want to sit through an hour to get those gems, those gems. That's a great lesson. Rage, thank you very much for being here, brother. You've got websites, Facebook pages, and people want to get to know more about you. Maybe you said some acronyms that people want to be like, what the heck? What's ACDC?
Yeah. So on the screen right here, right below, right there, that's my name. My name is Raging. You can find me on Instagram, The Raging. You can find me on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel. Just search that name. This face comes up. I'd love to meet you. And ask me some questions. Maybe I have answers.
Awesome. That's your real name. That is my real name. Raging.
Raging. I'm raging.
That is fantastic, brother. Hey, man. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for being here.
Hey, Paulo. Yeah. I saw you. I was driving home and I was listening to YouTube. And I was listening to you and Todd. and you were trying to convince Todd to learn some flow drills and pick up a collie stick and do some FMA stuff, and he was basically saying no.
No, he said no.
I'm going to be going out there. I'm going to be hanging out with Todd, and I'm finally going to get to meet Greg Nelson, and I think you should come, film it, and then I've never swung a collie stick either. And if you come out there, I will convince Todd to learn the flow drills with me via Greg.
Maybe we can
That's my offer to you.
That is amazing. Look.
And
Todd
we might
Fosse,
even light our shoes on fires.
Hey, do some kung fu spin kicks. Todd Fosse already asked me. So, guys, look forward to the potential moment where we've got the legendary Greg Nelson. We got Rage Ing in the house. We have Todd Fosse in the house. Now, if you guys know what those names mean and what they could represent, then you got this guy coming in to film, document, and represent the stuff that they're going to present to one another. I think that could be great. So I would love to be there. I just got to, we got these crazy restrictions up here in Canada, man. So I just got to make sure that I'm all vaccinated and that I'm allowed, you know, to do that.
Yeah.
But that sounds like
sorry to hear that.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
Well, you live in California, so it's not like it's that much better. California.
Yeah.
All right, Rage.
Our restrictions should be lifted pretty soon, so.
I hope so. When's this happening?
It's not we haven't set the dates yet.
All right.
Hint. Maybe we need to discuss it, you and I, before I make a commitment to them.
Fantastic. All right. I will try my best to be there and document it for the awesome people who like all that science-y stuff mixed with martial arts and just like it's a cocktail.
Yeah. And I'm actually excited to learn Hubud and sticky sticks.
You're going to learn that from one of the best, man, Greg Nelson.
Yeah, man.
That's fantastic. Rage, my brother, thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for dropping the knowledge.
Yeah.
Peace. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Okay,
bye. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was my homeboy, Rage Ing. I still can't believe that is his real name, but that is his real name. Go find him. I mean, there shouldn't be a whole lot of search results when you type in Rage Ing. Maybe type in Rage Ing MMA or like Rage Ing boxing or like Rage Ing strength and conditioning. You're going to find him. Very, very approachable. As you can tell, he's a nice guy. He's got a lot going on up here in terms of that knowledge-y stuff, but he has a foundation of actually doing the stuff. Lifelong athlete, hell of a fighter. Still to this day, I think. He's not a dude that you want to mess with. But he's also very brainy and sciencey. That's a deadly combination, you guys. I swear, he's like a kung fu master. He's like a modern day version of like that kung fu master that sits up in the waterfalls and by the mountains, and it's got all this knowledge. Amazing guy. But yo, thank you guys very much for joining me here on the Aperture Fight Focused podcast. I can't believe we are under an hour. Usually we just like go on and on and on, but I thought that was a great end there. So, take your role as a coach to be an ongoing journey and don't be intellectually lazy. That's what I took away from my chat with Coach Rage Ing. I hope you guys take that, reflect on it. And as Bruce Lee said, how can you make that your own? That's up to you to figure out. For now, I just want to thank you for being here. If you enjoy this, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please take a moment to do that so you don't miss another instance when we do another one of these live podcasts. So thank you for being here. Hope you guys have a great day.